Hello, welcome travelers and adventurers. I'm Ever Adventurous, and every season of Evermore Park, I like to show you kind of all of the changes going on that season and what is different or new in park. So here is your update on my visit to the winter season called Aurora. Just a disclaimer, this was a shorter visit for me than usual, so I did not get to go through any of the guild quests on this trip. The standout of the season, as it often is in Aurora, is the Christmas lights. If you're going with family, it's a fun and unique place to enjoy lights as you get all of the themed characters to interact with, and you also get to walk through the beautiful fantasy buildings and the fantasy setting they have there. You can enjoy carolers, some treats, and relax by the fire as you enjoy the Christmas lights. Some of the things we're going to talk about in this video, and I will have timestamps below, are food, the same or returning activities, changes this season, guilds and quests, and any tips for this season. And please excuse my sickness that I am getting over, and I'm filming my next 3 videos right now, so you're going to be hearing that for the next 3 videos. Okay, for the food, most places had hot chocolate, cider, and sodas. Barter's Post had a few good options. There's nothing really great as far as gluten-free options for me, so I haven't tasted these, but my friend Crow loved the grilled gobbler. That was a turkey gravy cranberry sauce with provolone cheese on ciabatta. And then there was also a soup of the week that they'd be serving when I was there. That was the lobster bisque. The other Barter's Post had chicken and rice and mac and cheese. The Kettle Cafe was pretty sparse when I went by. When I went, the only thing they had there was a cheeseburger. Cookies and milk are being served in the tavern. And the Copper Confectionery had pies and cookies and muffins. Okay, some things that were returning to this season. The merchandise in the Kettle Cafe was pretty much the same as it has been all year. Garlands and dice and just a few like fantasy costume items that you could wear. They also had their specific Aurora merchandise, some socks and shirts and things. These are not my favorite because I really want anything I have from Evermore to say Evermore on it. Because if you're just wearing Aurora, nobody really knows what that is. Like, it's pretty niche, which I could still enjoy. I wouldn't say no to an Aurora shirt. But for me, I don't typically want to pay for it unless it says Evermore on it. They have the train, the bird show, and all of the merchants that you can go shop with. They do have an ice rink, and it is a synthetic ice rink again, which I hear is unpopular with people. Again, I was in like a full skirted costume when I went, so I didn't dare ice skate because that is not my strong suit in the best of times. I was hoping that we'd see vendors getting used as an extra space to eat in and enjoy the park, but that looks like it has been rented out pretty regularly because it's a space you can rent out for events and dinners and things. So it looks like it's not going to be something that you can use as a guest because it's popular as a venue to rent out. So if you want to see it, rent it out, I guess. And then of course the fantasy characters offering quests. Some new things this season are that you can meet Santa and Mrs. Claus. There's some new lighting story effects going on in Drakenhaven when you are talking with the Wolves of Winter and they tell stories. An ice elemental and a fire elemental, and they will do magic shows. There's a specific time in the tavern, I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was, but where they tell stories and have cookies and cocoa together in the tavern. There's no fighting arena this season. However, instead of doing that, I'm just going to read the description here. There's a training grounds where they're teaching footwork and basic combat. And for those who have completed those classes, and longsword and sword and shield classes, each class has an extra challenge that you can do at the end of it, I'm told. And if you complete that challenge, you will earn a piece of Mythosian iron. The 5 people who have collected the most iron by the end of the season will receive a special reward. There are classes constantly, so it's not like a schedule that you have to show up for. And which class they are teaching at the moment just depends on who is there and what they want to learn. They do, however, on the hour offer snowball fights with big cotton balls, Auroran snow. And I would say if you are walking up to the battle arena and you have something in mind that you want to learn or you want to do the snowball fight, just be sure to let them know that when you show up. Say, hey, I'm here for the snowball fight. I'm here to learn footwork. I'm here to try to earn some iron. Here's a few things that are not part of the season this season, which is they don't have fire shows that I've seen. They might, I imagine they will for the New Year's event or at specific times. But right now, the only performances or shows that they are offering is the bird show and the magic shows. So no circus show and things like that. They still have the buttons you can push that have interactive effects. When I went, it was just like the sound of jingle bells or different holiday sounds, which was a letdown for me compared to last Aurora, when you would train with the Fire Guild or the Ice Guild and be able to go and find these interactive effects as spells that you had learned with the guild. Even in the catacombs, there was just the funniest effect with one of those earlier in the year, where if you reached past the bars, you would get cursed. I think I just got cursed. I wasn't reaching for it, I was pointing. Now, if you do something around that area, it just makes like a jingle bell sound effect, and you can see like the naughty and nice list in there. And so I hope, sometimes these effects will change later in the season, so I hope we get like more interactive story elements with that rather than just sound effects, personally. There are carolers there, though their whole group was not there on my trip. I went pretty early in the season, and they opened way earlier than they normally have. They usually open on Black Friday, and I went before that. I do tend to think that Evermore doesn't quite tend to be ready their first weekend of a season a lot of times. It's still fun, but I feel like when you go later after that, they have added a lot more things a lot of the time. The catacombs and the mausoleum are the headquarters for Krampus right now. Krampus? He was definitely one of the most entertaining characters to me. He's trying to convince everyone to cause mischief and discord in the town. And meanwhile, Santa and his friends are trying to get people to trick Krampus into doing things that are kind. And you could join with him on a rampage. We called it a crampage. Essentially, he asked us to all pretend to be tricked chickens and go and around and irritate with him all of the different guilds. The guilds and characters we have available this season are the Wolves of Winter, who are kind of have like a Viking vibe, the Peppermint Duchy and the Gingerbread Duchy, and the Yuletide Critters. So some furries for you. Townsfolk, I met Rosa, the cotton candy people who, when I was there, were spreading rumors about everyone in town. And of course, Krampus and Santa and Mrs. Claus. The fire and ice elementals were also there, and I thought their story was interesting. And I briefly met one of the salesmen as well. The ice elemental I met had been banished from the Auroran court. She said she needed to find a spell that would help her set things right, and she had found one in Drakenhaven, or at least she thinks she has, but she's not able to read the language it's written in. I'd been talking to Rosa earlier in the evening about love letters that she was receiving from a friend back home, and those letters had a few lines in a different language. So I thought, I know somebody who speaks a different language here, and I went to investigate if it was her. And it was a list of ingredients for a potion to try and reverse this spell. This ice elemental has partially frozen someone at the Auroran court. So I brought the letter back, and I had one thing that I had collected from the gingerbread duchy to give her to start making that potion. She and the fire elemental are in a competition to see who is going to win this really powerful staff that can set off an eternal winter. The fire elemental is not a fan, and he wants to destroy it. This will probably come into play when Evermore gets snowy later. So that was the main story thread that I learned about and was enjoying. Other story beats I noticed is that there seems to be some rivalry between the Gingerbread Duchy and the Peppermint Duchy. And the Yuletide critters in the inn basically used to be animals who were Chronicles of Narnia style that could speak in their animal form. So they've always understood human speech. But as they crossed through into Evermore, they became humanoid. And so they are dealing with that change. Krampus wants to help get people on the naughty list. Santa wants to help get people on the nice list. And the cotton candy people were spreading nasty rumors around everyone around town. They also seem to really approve of Krampus's activities, so they are definitely naughty list material, but very posh. And as always, one of the activities you can do is to join these various guilds. And they'll all have different tasks for you to be able to do that. Tips. Food is just kind of really unreliable at Evermore still, so I would say don't go there starving, eat a little something. On that same note though, if the lines aren't long and food happens to look good, and lines weren't long when I went there, then try something. I really have heard that grilled gobbler was good from a few people, and the soups are usually pretty solid there. Bring a few trinkets to trade, especially if you have kids. That's something that my kids love doing there. It tends to be like little items that you can earn from guilds or simpler trades, but there are some characters who tend to hang on to nicer items if you want to trade nicer things, either with them or just with other people around the park that you see who like to do the trading. This is just a random thing, but yeah, if you're with kids, maybe bring like some glow necklaces or glowy Santa hats or lights just to kind of immerse them into the holiday lights going on around them. Plan on taking photos with your group next to the beautiful Christmas tree in the tavern and all of the good little photo ops they have around. Hang around the fire and ice elementals so that you'll be able to learn when those magic shows are and see them do some magic. If you enjoy dressing up, and then dress in theme, maybe dress like a Viking and go hang out with the Wolves of Winter, or dress like a sugar plum fairy and hang out with the cotton candy people. If I had more time to make some costumes for this season, I would love to make a cotton candy character. I've tried that once before and it was kind of a hot mess. But I had this wig that I had tried to make where you could open up and eat real cotton candy out of it. And I would love to revisit that another time and maybe get that right. Unlike other parks, you are allowed to come in costume as always. It's encouraged, really, just to make sure that if anyone does confuse you for an actor, that you do not pretend to be one. That is against the rules. They all have these bright glowing medallions. They're brighter than they used to be, so it's a little easier. But yeah, if somebody is asking you for a quest, just make sure to let them know that you are also a guest. And check the weather to make sure that you are wearing enough layers to make sure you stay nice and warm. As you are talking with the characters, maybe ask them a question that you don't think anyone else has ever asked them before about their life or their backstory or their goals. And if you're trying to get a handle on, what on their character or what's happening in the town, ask them if anything strange has happened in town lately. Ask them who their best friend is in town or who their arch rival is in town, things like that. Plan on shopping the vendor booths. There's a lot of handcrafted items and a lot of fantasy items that are really fun to explore in there, jewelry and notebooks and potion bottles and things like that. So that's Aurora. If you like hearing about costumed events and immersive experiences and just general crafting nerdy fun, this is a good place to do that. Until next time, keep creating and stay ever adventurous. Bye.